Jennifer Waters here again. This personal experience took me a while to really accept about myself, and now that I have accepted it and can tell people, we'll start from the very beginning. I was a freshman at the University of Northern Iowa, where I was majoring in music, loved to play music, loved to go to class, until I started having abdominal pains, loose stools, blood in my stools. I said, well, maybe my body's just getting used to college food. And so I went that whole semester with the same symptoms, and that following spring I was tired of it and saw a doctor, and he said, well, let's do a colonoscopy on you. I said, all right, I'm 18, we can do this. And so we did this on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2015. And he had basically told me it didn't look very pretty up there. And I didn't really learn a whole lot that day until about May, after I had finished finals, and I was admitted to the hospital for about a week and a half, and he told me, he said, you have ulcerative colitis. I said, well, what's that? I've never heard of that. And he said, it is part of the irritable bowel disease family. Your other sister is Crohn's disease. I said, all right, great. And he asked me if I had a family history of it. I said, no. He's like, oh, interesting. Normally people do. I said, so what you're saying is I'm the guinea pig of the family. And so he recommended me to a gastroenterologist in Des Moines, and this GI put me on a new medication, and the new medication did not really like my body because it was still having the same symptoms as it was prior that year. And I was back in the hospital for another week that following August. And so that following August made me make the decision to take that semester off from UNI, and that hospital visit also had me make the decision to transfer to Central College that following spring. And I transferred to Central College in Pella, which is about 15-20 miles away from Oskaloosa, where I currently live. And I was still having the same symptoms, and that spring break in that spring semester in March, I went to Mayo Clinic up in Rochester, Minnesota, and this GI had told me, she said, all right, this GI you have now is not doing you any good. He's not helping you. He's not helping you recover. He's not doing a whole lot for you. And before then, I had not really realized that. And she was pretty blunt with me, and she was what I needed. And she said, all right, here's this new GI. We'll send you a recommendation, and you can set up an appointment with him, and we'll get you all good and feeling better. I said, great. I mean, going to Mayo Clinic was great. I mean, they had marble walls. But then I saw this new GI, and I told him my story, and he said, well, have you ever thought about a biologic medication? I said, no, I mean, I've had this for a year or so now, but I've never heard of a biologic medication. Explain more. And he said, all right, have you ever heard of Humira Remicade? I said, I've heard of Humira because they have commercials a lot. And he said, well, let's put you on Remicade. I said, okay. And so I started infusions of Remicade, and I get infused about every 8 weeks through any vein I want on my arm, and which is great because I get to go to Des Moines and shop afterwards. And this drug has been practically my miracle drug because it's put my life back on track and has made me feel better about myself, and all around just made me happier, because before then I was pretty depressed because I felt like I was not living my life, and I was late teens, early 20s, and I wasn't doing what all my friends were doing, and it was not a fun time for me. And this Remicade has put my life back on track. But I've learned a lot about myself because of my disease, and my family's learned a lot about my disease, and now we advocate for it, and it's it's changed my life forever. But that's my life experience. Thank you.